Hey there crew, it's Mark, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 of my favorite notebooks that I think you should consider for the new year. Whether you're looking to replace an old journal that's not quite working out for you, or you're just on the search for something new, each one of these journals has special features that I'll go over that I think that you're really going to love and why they've been some of my favorites to use over the years as well. And I'll also be sharing with you how I've used these notebooks in the past to give you real life show and tell of how these perform in the real world. We'll be talking about the Archer and Olive journals today, the official bullet journal, Night Owl planners, and Hobonichi. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one, which is Archer and Olive journals. I've been a longtime fan of Archer and Olive notebooks. I think they just have so much to offer the planner community, and as they've come up and become a bigger brand, more people are finding things that they love. One of my favorite things about Archer and Olive is that they have so many cool designs as well as so many different sizes that they have to offer. Everything from A5, we have pocket size, traveler size notebooks. My favorite size, which is the square notebook. And then all the way up to B5 and even letter size notebooks. Aside from their covers, which we'll talk about a lot in just a moment, the features inside of these notebooks all are somewhat the same. You've got your nameplate on the front, and just recently they started to include some really cool inside page designs, really going with the theme of the different notebooks. This one is from their Halloween collection, so they have things to match inside of here. The paper inside of these is 160 GSM, which means that it's nice and thick and can handle almost everything that you throw at them. There are no numbered pages, however, I did put out a notebook collection with Archer and Olive earlier this year, and we do have page numbers in here along with some smart marks. This is very different from what they usually do. This is very specialized that I designed for them. But if you're just looking for really great blank notebooks, these are it. All of their notebooks come with 2 page holders, and there's always going to be some type of a charm that's on the bottom of these. It's the Archer and Olive logo that you have here. On the back of these notebooks, you also have a pocket you can slip things inside of, and there is an elastic closure as well as an elastic pen holder on the side of all of their different notebooks. Even on their pocket-sized notebooks, those same features exist. When it comes to the pros of these notebooks, I think that the size variations are an amazing offering because depending on what you want, you can find the right size notebook for you. I think that the designs from Archer and Olive are absolutely amazing. And while the designs have gotten very ornate and big, some of their earlier versions and even what they offer now are very simplistic. And if you don't want anything at all, they also just have notebooks that are just plain colors. They offer faux leather, they offer buckram covers, linen covers, so whatever kind of textures you like on your notebooks, there really is something for everyone. And if maybe you're not the biggest fan of all their different designs, they also offer different type of notebook covers that you can purchase to upgrade the look of your notebooks and have something to protect the front of them as well. Some of the biggest cons of Archer and Olive notebooks really comes from the inside functionality, in my opinion. I think that page numbers are incredibly important for bullet journaling, especially if you keep an index. And with these notebooks specifically, you have to write them in yourself. And when you have 160 pages that you're trying to fill in, that can take a little bit of time. Honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons that I included page numbers inside of my Mark journals, because it's just a feature that I think was absolutely needed for Archer and Olive notebooks. From a brand perspective, I have to say I love Archer and Olive as a whole. I've been along with them from the ground up, from some of their earliest days working on the design team, working closely with Bonnie, as well as everyone else on that team. And overall, as a brand, I just think they're doing the right thing out there, and I absolutely love that. This is the very first notebook that I used as a bullet journal from Archer and Olive, and I can tell you that the first time I used this was an amazing time. I think after going from earlier notebooks like the Loistroms, which we're going to talk about next, this just was such a breath of fresh air. I could put anything inside of here, and I didn't have ghosting on the pages. I really felt like every single page really could be its own. I could use different type of markers and highlighters and pens and just feel really confident in using them and not worrying whether it was going to bleed through the page or not. It's also been super exciting to explore all the different sizes. After I finished this notebook, I moved into the square notebook, and this was just so much fun because it gave me so much more room for activities. And again, just loving the fact that I could use different materials, different layouts, and I knew that everything was going to be good. Archer and Olive has a lot going on for it, and I absolutely love it, but it might not be in your price range, or you might not be totally into the overly designed theme notebooks that they have. Even the more minimalist ones sometimes lean in a spot that not everyone loves. So for that, we're gonna check out the official bullet journal notebook. The official bullet journal has put out a lot of different options over the years. I started my entire bullet journal journey with Aloystrom 1917, and then they partnered along with them to have actual branded notebooks. And over the years, they've been including new colors and new things inside of the notebooks, which really make this notebook stand out from the originals. One of the things that they've also been doing recently, and we'll check out this notebook, is they've been partnering along with other creators and really including them inside of this community. Originally, Bullet Journal kept things very simple, which is black and blue, and as they've been including more color, it's been cool to see, but even now working with other artists, you have a few options that you didn't have in the past. All of the new notebooks that they have, whether it be the artist collection or even more of the standard bullet journals just in the colors, these new features are all a part of the Edition 2 collection. And what they include are a size guide that's in the front of this notebook, the why and the what for the bullet journal brand. You have your nameplate here, which is blank, but they've included a lot of pre-printed stuff inside of their notebooks, recently including a key, which are all of the signifiers that you use for your bullet journal, as well as intention pages, index pages, future log pages, and the blank pages that you can use for the rest of your notebooks. They've also included quick guides inside of their margins, which help you easily split your pages into columns or rows, depending on what you need, halves or thirds, and they already have page numbers inside of their notebooks as well. One of my favorite things about the Edition 2s also is that there are 3 page holders that they have. And I use these a lot inside of my journals, especially when I'm going between different pages. I usually have one for the current page that I'm on, one for a meeting or collection that I'm going into, especially since I use my bullet journal for work, and then one usually on my monthly overview. That way I can easily find those pages inside of my notebook as I'm working inside of it. Now on the back of these notebooks, there's a handful of new things that the Edition 2s offer that they haven't offered previously. One is a bunch of pre-done stickers. We have the months here, days of the week, really cool bullets, lightning bolts, and calendar days as well. And something new is the bullet journal reference guide that's in the back as well. Previously, you had to purchase this separately, but they've started to include it in their notebooks, which I think was just super smart, and I'm so glad that they do it. It gives you all the information you need on how to use the bullet journal method inside of your notebook. And that all lives inside of the paper pocket that's in the back. The original bullet journal notebook that I had some of the similar features, but it was just built into the pages, which took away from the number of pages you had inside of your notebook. Personally, I like having something separate and saving my pages in the back for actual use inside of my journal versus it being taken up with instructions. You also have an elastic band on here, but no built-in pen holder. So if that's something that you're interested in, Ryder Carroll actually does something, which is he folds over his elastic and then clips his pen on here. The only problem is if you have a pen that doesn't have a clip, it makes it a little bit harder to hold, but it's not completely not functional for clipless pens. There's a lot of pros with these new notebooks, and a lot of them come in the special features that are inside of the Edition 2s now, the page numbers, the quick guides, and the margins for columns and rows. While I don't personally use the stickers that are in here, it's a really great and easy way to get your pages up and running. But I think one of the best things about the notebooks is that they are including the guide here. So if you want to know how to get started with bullet journaling, this notebook gives you all the information that you need. You just have to get started, versus the other notebooks, you'd have to do a bit more research to understand how to use the method if you're using the bullet journal method in a different notebook. If you're not following the bullet journal method, that's totally fine. This notebook could do that for you, but then you're just getting a lot of extra material that you're not going to need. Of course, it's easy to recycle those if you're not going to be using them, but I really think the bullet journal method notebook is best used for the bullet journal method. From a brand perspective, I've had my ups and downs with bulletjournal.com. I think in the earlier days when they were just putting stuff out there, they were just trying to get people's attention. And I think that it worked out wonderfully. But then for a little bit of time, there was a blip when they started to kind of go against the creative journalers out there and just talk about being kind of the bullet journal purists, following the method and using it that way. And then a number of years ago, they kind of came out of that dark space and they said, everyone can bullet journal. We love creative bullet journaling, which I think was a good thing. But something they really doubled down on, which I think is incredibly important, is the bullet journal method. Their website, the courses that they offer. A lot of their education online is about the bullet journal method and how to use it. And bullet journal has kind of become the Kleenex of the tissue world, where you see a notebook and say, oh, this is a bullet journal. This is a notebook. The bullet journal method is what you use inside of it, and that's what makes it a bullet journal. When it comes to the cons of the bullet journal notebook, specifically the Leuchtturm 1917, all of my comments have to do around ghosting. Ghosting in a notebook is where you can see the pen, the words, the images you're drawing on the other side. And when I got my very first notebook, which is not a branded bullet journal notebook, instead just a straight Leuchtturm, I didn't know what to expect. I actually didn't know anything about ghosting or bleed through. But the thing is that the paper on these isn't the best, especially if you don't like ghosting. Now, the new edition 2 notebooks, this paper is 120 GSM, which is a little bit thicker than the originals. And while it works a little bit better, personally, I still felt as if the ghosting was still very prevalent as I continued to use this notebook. So if you're the type of person that doesn't like ghosting and nervous about bleed through a little bit, you might not want to consider these notebooks. But if it's not something that concerns you and you're not worried about any of that, and you just love to see your letters and your words through your pages because it makes it feel more amazing, then this might be the right one for you. It's been really cool to see Bullet Journal expand a little bit in their offering while still keeping everything very sleek and in line. Now, as I shared, there's a lot that I love about it and some things that I don't, but if the type of things like ghosting don't bother you, then that might be the right notebook for you. If you're looking for something that has a little bit more structure to it but doesn't drive you totally into the pre-planner space, these next 2 journals are going to be perfect for you. Let's go ahead and first start with Hobonichi. Now, I'm not an expert on Hobonichi notebooks, and to be honest with you, I only have 2. I have the Techo here, and I also have a 5-year journal. But I do have a little bit of experience from the standpoint of knowing what I want and what I love inside of my planners. Now, one thing that Hobonichi offers that people love is the paper itself, Tamara River paper, very thin but holds up incredibly well to fountain pens and other inks. From a functionality standpoint, the Hobonichis also offer a plethora of resource pages for you as you're going through with them. Full calendar pages for now and future years. Pre-printed months, so you can go ahead and just start using them right away, whether you have priorities for the month or specific days and things you need to write down inside of your calendar. Each month has a full calendar set up as well, with plenty of room on the sides for extra notes or dates, and pretty large spaces as well for each of the calendar days. If you're the type of person that likes to have blank pages inside of your notebook, then this one is going to be for you, the day-free option here. The day-free version really just gives you the month's overview, but then you fill in the rest of your paper here. So if you like something that's not predated and you want to create your own pages, or you're just looking for a notebook to write in, this is pretty ideal. Page numbers are already built in here as well, so if you want to keep an index for yourself, it's easy enough to do. There are other options from Hobonichi's in a lot of different sizes as well, but the insides of those notebooks all look a little bit different. Some of them have some blank pages, a lot of them are completely filled in with all of the dates for each day of the week, whether you want it page by page or week by week in a spread. The biggest pros of the Hobonichi notebooks are first that you have so many different options for each of these different notebooks. Whether it's partially planned, fully planned out for you, you really can make each one of these your own. The page numbers make it easy to reference your pages in the future, and using any type of pen, fountain pen ink, marker in here holds on incredibly well. The biggest cons, in my opinion, is that the paper is very thin, and as a person who does not necessarily love ghosting, it does bother me a bit because in some cases I feel like the back page over here is completely unusable now. So you may have to skip pages if it really bothers you a lot and you don't want to write over top of the print that's on the other side. I personally think sometimes it makes it hard to read, and that's why I don't love doing it. Each of the pages are a bit different per notebook, but one of the things I didn't love necessarily about this one are the quotes for the day. To me personally, I felt like it was a bit of wasted space, but if you're the type of person that likes something like that or reads kind of a new thing a week or page, you might really like that. But for me, I don't really utilize that, so I'd rather just have a longer page. While this next feature is fun, don't get me wrong, it's something that's just taking up a lot of space in my notebook, which is this little tiny fox icon down here that essentially is a flip book. And I don't need that on my pages. From a branding perspective, I don't have any close relationship with the Hobonichi brand. I've just seen them a whole lot out there. In the notebook, the journaling, the planning space, a lot of people just are all in on it and they love everything about it. Every year when it's time for them to release their new stuff, people go absolutely wild for it. They love the notebooks, they love the covers, they love the accessories. There's just a lot of excitement and energy around Hobonichi every single year. And honestly, that's what caught my eye the most. When I first started using this Hobonichi, I was using it for things outside of work, birthdays, things for the Archer and Olive team, videos, podcast notes, just really trying to get a good feel for it. I did love using the paper. I love that I could take on a lot of different types of pens. I could use fountain pens in here without any worry whatsoever. I was able to swatch some things inside of here too. So I think these type of notebooks could be really fantastic just for general use. You don't have to necessarily use them as a bullet journal. And the pages overall are super versatile. And what's cool too, and I've seen a lot of people do this, is that if you don't use all the calendar pages, some people will turn these pages into swatch books instead, ignoring the dates and the days of the week and just using the beautiful paper for different type of swatches. Like I mentioned, there are so many different options when it comes to Hobonichi notebooks that it might be a little overwhelming. But if you like the style and overall look of Hobonichis, but you don't want to completely lose yourself in that, the last planners that we're going to talk about today are from Night Owl, and honestly, I think this is a perfect match of a blank notebook mixed with Predated. The Night Owl planners have quickly replaced my love for Hobonichi because they do a lot of what the Hobonichi journals do, but in my opinion, they're even more functional. The other thing I love about Owl Paper, or the Night Owl Planner, is Marissa, who is the owner of the company, and she is just doing such amazing things. I'm so excited to be able to have worked with her and continue to work with her to talk about everything amazing that she's offering inside of her planners here. She decided to go ahead and offer her planners into a 6-month offer here. 2 reasons for that. First, you get amazing paper, but it still keeps things nice and thin, and also it's a really great focus. Now you can choose just to buy one of these, or you can get the 2-month set. The paper inside of here is Tomoe River paper in these B6 sizes. Each one of these has 320 pages, which covers for 6 months. It is incredible to take a look at something like this and be like, wow, that's 320 pages inside of here. She does offer some different colors, so depending on the color palette that you like, you can get the right colors that you want. But what's inside of these planners is really absolutely amazing. And just like the cover says, daily, weekly, monthly, limitless. There is so much that this planner offers you. When you open this up, you get your pages that already have some of the markings on it, but of course you don't have to follow those if you don't use it. But there's an index page on here. There's a goal setting page inside of here. There's also a yearly overview here. That's going to give you each of the days throughout the year. Even though this is only for 6 months, you get a whole view of planning here. And that way, when you move into your next 6 months, you can easily transfer over what you need. You get a great monthly overview here. Everything is pre-dated for you, so you don't have to worry about writing anything in except for your dates, as well as some extra space on the sides for each of your months. There's also blank pages in between each month if you want to write extra things as well. Once you get past the monthly overviews, that's when you start to move into your weekly views. These are already pre-dated, pre-days of the week, as well as a big open schedule on here, which I absolutely love. Monthly overview here on the side for you with your calendar, and then extra space around the left and bottom margins of this to write in anything extra that you need. You'll notice that there are some colored markers as you go through the page, and each of these is going to be for your month as you're going through. So this is January. Once you move into February, it'll change colors. March, April, May, and June. And then my favorite part of these planners is that after you get through all of the pre-dated, which only takes up this much of your notebook, the rest of this planner is left with complete blank grid pages. So you can use them for whatever you want. So what I love about it is that you have your Monday starts, right? And all the way through Sunday over here. So you have your weeklies, but if you have other collection pages, especially if you're using this something like a bullet journal, for instance, that's a major part of it. You have all the blank pages back here that you can use for those collection pages, extra notes, or anything that's not going to fit onto your weekly overview. And then you can use those page numbers with an index over here, and it just all works so well. From a brand perspective, I think Night Owl Planner is amazing. I love what they're doing in building this brand and being very kind of grassroots and getting the word out there more. And what they're offering inside of their journals, their planners, to me is amazing. It has everything that you kind of need. And I love that they're listening to the audience and saying, what are you looking for? How can we make this better? And to me, that makes an amazing brand. All of the features of this notebook are the pros of this notebook. I love everything about how it's laid out. I love that you have your weeklies and then you have all of this room here in the back for whatever collection pages that you want. Now, I wouldn't really call this a con of this notebook, but more it's just the fact that the Tomo River paper is 52 GSM and you see everything through it. So if you are the type of person that doesn't like the ghosting or kind of seeing the other things on the pages, even with some of the pre-printed things inside of here, this may not be the right journal for you. But if that's not a problem, but you really love and appreciate the paper itself, similar to what we talked about in the previous ones, then you're not going to have a problem and this may fit exactly what you want. Depending how you like the plan, you may see having to have 2 of these as a con and not just having one big notebook. And I would say the other thing is that you are limited to this size journal. So if you do want a bigger notebook or more space, that's not currently offered from them, but you never know. But what's cool about this being a small business and Marissa being an amazing, just research-focused individual is she's always open to trying new things. Whether it be sizes or papers or layouts, she's always asking for feedback, and I love that. She also has a number of covers if you want to personalize them a little bit more. This is a clear cover here, but she actually makes her own covers for the journals that you can purchase from her as well, and really just customize this to make it exactly what you want. I'll put all the links for all of the notebooks down in the descriptions for you below, and if I have a discount code for you, I'll make sure to mark that for you too. And that way, if you're purchasing this notebook or giving them a try, you can save a little extra money. And in my opinion, that's the best thing you can do, especially when you might be trying something new. Let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite notebooks are, especially if they're not the ones we talked about today. I love sharing with this community and finding new cool things, and I can't find it all, so I have to rely on my other stationary friends like you to help keep us all in the know. Maybe there's something new out there that I'm not aware of that I need to try out. Drop it in the comment section and let's have a discussion. If you're still looking for more notebooks to consider for the new year, I have an entire playlist here of other notebook reviews that I've done. Be sure to check those out. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you next time, friends. See ya.